you came here for some serious stuff, as they say, Kevin. So you never once, I'm shifting gears quickly here. You never once left Dembele's corner.
So it's weird because I am not. So
I have more setup for you if it did help you out. So, I mean, I think
yeah.
you probably took a
So
step
there's
of breath air outside. I mean, fresh air outside, right? I think you stepped out just for a second, took a breath in, but you never, again, you were always in his corner, like Rocky, but, right back in when the lights got brighter. But yeah, please.
so my view is that um um that he's an immense talent. And I think that when he came back, that's when Xavi Ball took off, right? I think he's an idiot. I think his manager is an idiot. I think his manager almost mismanaged him out of football. His manager managed him into a worse deal than he could have gotten had he signed the contract that they offered him more than a year ago. I still don't know if the player we saw the last part of the season is the real Dembele, right? I mean, obviously we've seen him on and off. Like he doesn't seem to have a rheostat. He has a toggle switch. Right? He's on, he's on. And I don't know if he's ultimately consistent enough at a reliable level to justify all of this, right? And the club keeping the light on in the window because Xavi has demanded it. So being in his corner is more of a misnomer. It's someone who believes in the usefulness of his skill set for Xavi's team, right? I mean, there was no one better that Xavi could call on to do that job. I think he is one of the most talented wingers in world football when he's connected to the match, right? I mean, when he's not, he's just a mess. And so, I mean, will he renew it? Seems likely that he will. And in the context of the Raphinha deal being now reported by reliable sources that it's been agreed, so many questions come up, right? I mean, I was like, my view on Dembele was that the club should have withdrawn the offer about a month ago and said, you want to play hardball, let's roll, right? My guess is they didn't own it because Xavi said, hang on, right? I mean, he needs to repay Xavi. He does. I mean, Xavi bailed him out in January. Xavi seems to have bailed him out now. And that's, despite a manager bound and determined to mismanage his player's career into Belgium or some friggin' where. He needs to repay Xavi, right? And let's hope he can.
Yeah. I mean, so where I've agreed with you this whole point is that once Dembele signs the dotted line for Barcelona on this contract extension, then you're right. I mean, all the pain and all the drama and all that stuff is over. But for you and I, as Barcelona supporters, this is the perfect case scenario. This is exactly what, like, if we just have not the back of the club, but if we're just wanting the best for FC Barcelona on the field, then Barcelona are in a good spot because he's, as you said, there's no one like him in Xavi's system if that's what you get out of him. And even after all that drama for Barcelona, like Alemany and Laporta, they come out winners here. If this is a contract till 2024 and he is taking a 40% salary reduction, which does put him right around 14 mil a year, which is snugly in between the 400,000 that separates Ansu at 13.9 and Frank Kessié at 13.5. So, Kessié at 13.5 and only 400,000 less than Ansu. Now that free transfer market makes sense, right? Like now when you see his wages, that makes a little sense. So it restructures the new top 7 salary structure based on current deals with the thought that Dembele is signing at that number. So again, that's the assumption that he's taking that 40% reduction. So I mean, do you want to play this as a game, or do you just want me to throw out the top 7 to you? Do you want to try to guess the top 7?
I couldn't possibly. I mean, I would imagine that given what Bartomeu did, De Young's probably up there. I don't know if he should be, but he probably is. I mean, I know that the um, three of the captains are up there. I couldn't possibly guess the rest. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Well, I've been talking through recent weeks that Busquets and Alba are high above on the top of that mountain, making just an insane number that's impossible to bring down unless they agree to those deferred payments. But again, you're just pushing it down the road. So take your lumps now with those two in particular. De Jong, as you mentioned, is number 3, which is why Barcelona is trying to get his wages off the books because it's even going to rise. So that being De Jong, is going to be the Alba Busquets problem. That's why they're trying to get rid of him now. Because even if his number is fair as a top 3 earner, it's just going to get worse. I mean, right. That's what I'm saying. Even if it was fair now, it's going to get worse. And he's going to be the number 1 earner the minute Busquets and Alba leave. Number 4 is you're going to see a huge problem with can the players go? Pjanic is number 4 at 15.6 million a year, just 400,000 behind De Jong. So next time anyone complains about De Jong, I want to remind you that Barcelona will likely have a player, or even if he goes on loan, will likely be paying the wages of a guy making 15.6 million euros this season and 500,000 less than Frankie De Jong, right? And so is there a reason why Pjanic isn't being courted by Chelsea and Manchester United and Manchester City? And yeah, there's a reason for that. So Barcelona has a huge problem on their hand in Milan Pjanic. I just want to warn everybody about that. And then behind him, then would be Ansu, Dembele, and Kessie, as we already discussed. And then as a quick aside, it's not all bad. As you and I were talking about before we hit record here, Eric Garcia and Alex Callado both make less than 3 million or less. That Callado's at like 1.5, which is, again, tremendous value, right? Think about what Pjanic gives you for 15.6 and think about what Eric Garcia gives you for right around 3, or what, again, Alex Callado gets you for 1.5. And I mean, that's a big question too about Xavi and Callado, is that at Callado 1.5, you still have to pay Dembele 13.7 or 13.8 or whatever it is. And so what can you get value wise? But that's not Xavi's job. That's the board's job and whatever. So that continues them having a huge problem with Pjanic. What do you think? Pjanic just making the backup pivot?
No, you got to get him out of there. I mean, I think the biggest job Almani and the board will have this summer, right? And the window is what, month and a half left, right? I mean, they have to get rid of players that aren't going to play with our wage burden, right? TT is one. I mean, Ren has doubts about his fitness, apparently. My guess is they have more doubts about his wage than his fitness. Pjanic is another. They found a new forever home for Longley. I just think that, I mean, and more than dollars, right? They have to clean up the roster so that players who are there, right, know they're there. You get a solid roster. I mean, there is no point in having MTT on your roster. If the rumored deal for Koundé happens, you got Piqué, Koundé, Christensen, Araujo. I mean, there are 0 available minutes for MTT. And so players like that, you got to get them gone. And I think that Pjanic wasn't at the level when he was at the club. He's not going to be at that level now. I don't know how they get him gone, but you got to get him gone. Those two.
Yeah. And for Pjanic, that letter of freedom, or that letter of whatever it may be, the letter of, goodbye, we'll pay the rest of this, and then you can see you on your way. At 15.6, that's physically impossible. They cannot write that letter for him. They can, as I was saying at the beginning, Mingueza is probably the only one number-wise, maybe Puig, that they could write that letter for and say, all right, we're going to eat this cost because we want to free up that salary on the books. And that would be it. Like, it would just be Mingueza. And again, his number is so low that it's like, You just try to continue to work on him in preseason. Like, hey, you see that 18-year-old kid? He's going to play over you. So just please understand the message here that you like Valencia will take you, or whoever it may be will take you in the first division, and you're a first division rotation player. So just go and play there. And same thing with Ricky Poos, right? Like, I've got kids from the U15s that are coming up and they're going to play over you. So just get the message loud and clear.
Based on what is happening so far, this season is going to be interesting. I think that Laporta is taking a huge gamble, right? In that he is, I don't care what anybody says, he's doing a payday loan, right? He is pulling levers to buy a new car. And he's hoping that that car will be so fast and so shiny and so flashy that nobody will recognize that the owner's home is empty, full of rickety furniture. And if that pays off, I mean, the rumors of the Lewandowski numbers are eye-opening. And then you also have Koundé, and you still haven't adequately solved your fullback problem, right? I mean, I don't think Chelsea castoffs are solving the fullback problem. Then you've got Dest, who's a oft-injured cipher, and Alba, who for me wasn't up to it defensively last year and sure won't be this year. So the team will still have welcome mats on the flanks unless they do the Koundé, and then you do a 3-4-3 with him, Christensen, and Donato, right, which solves your fullback problem, right? Because there aren't they, and it lets you stack the midfield, which is already a very crowded slot for Xavi. So, I mean, Laporta has taken a huge risk, a massive one. And well, I don't think he's betting the future of the club on it, because it's Barcelona is way too big to fail. I think he is making some Bartomeu-esque moves financially, and we will see.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to just trust my gut on what business can be done and will be done, I'm going to guess when the dust settles, it will be Raphinha, Marcos Alonso, Azpilicueta, as well as already Kessie and Christensen. And I would say Koundé is really, really difficult, as is Lewandowski, because those together could be up to 150 million. Depending on where that goes with add-ons and everything with Sevilla, you could be talking an 80 to 90 million euro deal. And with Lewandowski, that thing could raise up to 60 or 70. And if they're going 72 million guaranteed for Raphinha, it's just, you can't, it's got to be one per season for one of those. So, and then I would also add too, that if Dembele is renewing and you add Raphinha, I'm not worried about that, because the same position, that's a really important position in Xavi's system, arguably the most important system, because it helps you can play a 3-4-3 with that. You can also play in a 4-3-3 and have those be the two catalysts. And it, I think, easily becomes a top 1-2 punch on the wing in the world. The only thing about Raphinha is that it's a lot. 72 million euros is a lot for a 25-year-old coming off the best season of his career. There's a lot of questions being asked of a player that was on a team fighting relegation. Again, Leeds United fans say that, hey, there were times that he was the guy. He was the only guy that we had. But the consistency that's going to be asked of him and the stage of which he'll have to play on is a lot different than Sporting CP and Leeds United.